Good morning, everyone. Let's get right into the Word of God. So today we're going to be reading Deuteronomy chapter 16. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord thy God, of the flock and the herd, in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt not eat unleavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of thy life. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee all thy coast 7 days, neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrificest the first day at even remain all night until the morning. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates which the Lord thy God giveth thee, but at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in. There thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season thou camest forth out of Egypt. And thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt turn in the morning, and go unto thy tents. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do no work therein. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee, begin the number the 7 weeks which time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of the weeks unto the Lord thy God with the tribute of a freewill offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto the Lord thy God, according as the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within the gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to place his name there. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe to do these statutes. Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, thy maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow that are within thy gates. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God, in the place which the Lord shall choose, because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase, in all thy works of thine hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all the males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. They shall not appear before the Lord empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God which he hath given thee. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with this judgment, or with just judgment. Thou shalt not wrest judgment, thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise, and pervert the words of the righteous. That which is altogether just shalt thou follow, that thou mayest live, and inherit the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near unto the altar of the Lord thy God, which thou shalt make thee, neither shalt thou set up any image which is the Lord thy God hateth. And that is the end of Deuteronomy chapter 16. As a summary of Deuteronomy chapter 16, we have the feasts of Passover, of weeks, and of booths. And God wanted Israel to observe the month of Abib and to keep the Passover. Now, there were 7 holy days of the year, but 3 feast days. In these 3 feast days, you were to or the males were to present themselves before the Lord, right? And you got Passover, and then right after that, you have the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then for a week you have no leavened bread in your household or the coast of Israel, right? And then we have the Feast of Weeks, which after unleavened bread, you were to count 7 Sabbaths or 7 weeks, and then you would keep, the Feast of Weeks. And then later on in the year, you would have the Feast of Tabernacles or Pentecost. And this was after the Sabbath day, which I do want to say this. The disciples met, on Saturday and on Sunday. And this could be a picture of that, right? Because you got the Sabbath and then you're meeting on Sunday. And people take, it's either Saturday or Sunday, but really it's both, because, Jesus resurrected on that day. So, anyways, I just thought that was pretty interesting. So, and that's basically it. But also there are to appoint rulers and judges over the tribes and all that. So, anyways, guys, thank you for listening, and you guys have a wonderful day. So, real quick, they were to follow these holy days where God chose. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening.